Oh, hey, welcome. Good evening and all that. Welcome to episode 3 of Old Comic Book Day Book Club, where we talk about an old comic book instead of a new one. Although, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, when you think about it, anything that's already out is old.
True.
This is Philosophy Hour with Alec.
That was very deep.
Thank you.
It sounded like me when I was jumping into the story comic book chat before you guys even started, and I went on like a rampage.
Yeah. Classic stuff. How y'all doing tonight? We're talking about Space Ghost.
And we are from coast to coast.
Yes, but this is not the coast-to-coast version. There is no talk show in this. I'm joined by two fine gentlemen tonight. My normal co-host, my better half, John's Comics with Kids.
There was no insult. What? How do I know that you're talking about me?
He's a real dick. John's Comics with Kids.
Hey-o.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, but I guess you didn't like it. Typical John shooting me down. And a wonderful gentleman who gifted me these fine issues so that we could read them, Big Will. And he has arrived finally on Book Club. Welcome.
I indeed have arrived. It's nice to finally be able to be on somebody's show. And I think he saved the insult for me. You were his normal cohort. I guess that means I'm the abnormal one.
That just makes you better than me, because you don't want to be normal if I'm normal.
That is fair. We got some excellent people in the chat. We've got Caleb the Comic Smurf. We've got some jerk putting crown emojis. We've got Old Wolf 65. We've got Kachoom. We've got TJ the Slab Dragon Watson. We've got Perry Comics. We've got Chris Barrett. We've got Comic Head 84. What's up, Kenny? We've got Marcos Big Droops 13. Says, no work tonight. Finally got a chance to catch me a white whale live. Welcome to the chat. Brandon Stwinsky, Comics for Thomas, Comic Books NYC. What's up, Kavi? Jack Yo. And then my thing just scrolled way down suddenly. JD. Big Will's also in the chat. Comics Explained. What's up, Jason? Giving me the coffin emoji for the underwhaler. I think that's everyone so far. John, I'm going to ban you from my chat. Can I put you in timeout?
Why did my thing scroll up all of a sudden?
Oops. That's not what I want to do. Hold on. Bear with me.
There's clicking happening.
Don't worry, everyone. I put John in timeout. Because I have the power.
He can also mute me probably on the actual show.
Yeah, don't worry. That'll happen. So, I think a lot of people, I mentioned earlier, think about the Space Ghost Coast to Coast because that's what they're most familiar with, especially of a slightly younger demographic because the Space Ghost cartoon prior to this, or the Space Ghost franchise, was not really, I don't really remember it being in reruns or anything growing up.
It was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, right? Because I think I remember seeing it when I was really little. I watched it.
Well, actually, in the front of the trade, it actually tells you that it came out in September of 1966. That's when it first debuted, and he had, I believe it says, 3 seasons. Then they canceled it in 68. It was 42 episodes, and they were recycled in the 70s. And then in 1981, NBC revived him for a new hour-long cartoon, The Space Stars. And that was another 22 adventures. And then it was just random stuff until 1994, where we got the Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And it was the longest running one. It ran all the way through 2004, so a whole decade.
Yeah, the one from 81, I think I must have watched because I do remember distinctly the 2 kids and the whole thing. Like I remember that version of the character.
Yeah, and obviously that is a much different iteration. Him as a kind of a comedic talk show host But that's not what this is at all.
Well, I'm saying the one I remember is from 81 was the adventure show, the Hanna-Barbera, not the talk show, which was in the 90s.
Yeah. And that's the one I remember. And of course, the reruns from the original show were there. They always had the laugh at the end, like those old cartoons did, and the moral of the story and all that,
So if people read this and were expecting either kind of the campy old Hanna-Barbera or the intentionally humorous Adult Swim show, they were probably rather surprised. I was not. I did understand that was not what this was. So I was not expecting that, to be clear. This is not all a preamble for me saying, boy, bore my ears smoking.
I'm surprised.
But
no, I didn't remember distinctly hearing ever an origin story. It was always just taken for granted, kind of like Star Trek. When I started watching Star Trek, I never really knew about like any of the beginnings of it. It was always just like they're always on that journey. They're always in the 7 year. It's a 7-year journey that lasts for as long as you want to watch the show. Like I never had the. So this was an interesting chance for me to at least get that origin story for me.
Yeah, it reminded me of Miracle Man, but it was Marvel Man in the UK, where in the 50s, it was classic 1950s superhero where he'd say, Krakoa or whatever it was, the kind of like Captain Marvel would get his powers. And then Alan Moore came in and just ripped that to shreds and went completely dark, real world. And then Neil Gaiman took it. So it reminded me a little bit of that, how you had this idea with the cartoon and then a different writer put a more what we're used to in superhero stories nowadays kind of spin on it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that someone had kind of the vision or the foresight to say like, oh, here's this character that is, I would say, not portrayed seriously at all in a way. And let's take him and make it very serious.
Yeah. So overall, what did you two think of it? Because unlike me, you guys read it all in one whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wait when it came out in 2005. Every month was an anticipation of getting the next issue with an amazing cover, pretty good interior art, and pretty good writing, in my opinion. I enjoyed the whole series, but I had to wait 6 months before I finally got it. You guys got it all for the first time in one big swoop.
Interesting, because this is kind of the same dynamic John and I had when we did our Battlestar Galactica top 5, where I was watching that in real time and had to wait a year at one point between episodes. 13 months, and John was able to just pop in the next DVD.
Actually, that was Ryan. I actually was watching live that show, but I appreciate it. They're making fun of me, calling me a fake Star Trek fan, although I think JP had a little trouble spelling Star Trek. On the other side, for me, like I really enjoyed it. I thought the art, especially obviously those covers at the back are like on another scale, right? The Ross covers at the back are just like. But I really enjoyed the storyline as far as seeing somebody go from you see him go from this sort of warrior for this religious, I guess you could call them a religious cult, almost like the rule is the galaxy, and go from that position to a renegade hero through the journey of vengeance, if you will. I really enjoyed that storyline. It had some moments that I did not see coming, things that I did not expect. I was waiting for the bugs. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen the show. Like, you expect the bugs to come, and there's all the like little silly rumors of like, oh, those bugs aren't real, and I'm like, yes, they are. I've seen the show. I know they're real. They're coming. You better bear down. Which was a little Starship Troopers too. You could see Starship Troopers ripping off certain elements from this, as far as the sort of fascist cult and the hive-minded bugs and all that kind of stuff.
Now, did you know which one it was? Because if you remember from the cartoons, he had 2 bug villains. There was Zorak, and then there was Brak.
I did not remember a difference. I'm sorry. It's been
One was green,
Well, it's a
and
hive mind, so
the other one was red, and that's about all I remember. One was more like an ant, and then one was more like a praying mantis.
gotcha.
I will say I read this directly subsequently to reading Black Cat, so that might have affected my opinion. The first page of the first issue was great. Like, what a way to start off a series.
You mean that space shot with just the word and the,
Yeah.
thinking about humanity or whatever?
Yeah, and it's kind of like this soliloquy about. Yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah, so this is like the view of outer space, and there's this wonderful kind of discussion of the universe.
And I'm way into that type of stuff, so that was right up my old alley. I will say this as my overall review of this. I think it should have been 12 issues because I feel like it was the payoff was great and the idea was great, and even like even though you knew the bugs were coming, the twist of it not just being a straight vengeance story where he's coming back to kill the people who wronged him, and then the bugs come, and then it's this whole extra thing. But the main villain Temple, I feel like you're kind of just like thrown into him and told that he's bad. I mean, like, clearly he does a bad thing. He does a terrible thing, but I would have liked to have seen more of like a behind the scenes build up of him being bad and more of a build up of this kind of this world that he lives in beforehand.
You want to know how he got that way, basically.
I guess so. I don't know. I just felt like they needed to get to a certain point at the end of the first issue, and so they kind of threw a lot at you. And I will say there were definitely points that I noticed where I was like, oh, that was a really good way to do that. Sorry, my phone is just going crazy. A really good way to do that, because like when he's talking with his wife, talking to her about like hoping that he makes this certain rank, it didn't feel like exposition. It felt like a conversation, but you still got the information that you would have gotten if it were expositionish.
No, I think so. I guess if your main critique is that you wanted more, or at least wanted to have more time to dive into the elements that went along, I could see that. I definitely felt like there was a lot. You're talking about whole universe building elements going on here, several different races and governments and planets but I liked the way they did the villain, because at the beginning I didn't get enough. Like you're saying, I didn't quite know. But by the time it really got rolling with him, I was like, this guy is messed up and badass. When he's like, they find his hand at one point,
Yeah.
and he's like, he's attached a bug's hand to his own hand to like make up for it.
Right. And there were those moments where I was like, oh yeah, this dude is a bad dude and like he means business. But I didn't get like the payoff for me wasn't as strong with him because I didn't get that foundation of him. I'm going to use maybe a surprising example, but just what comes to mind is Avatar, where you have the kind of general guy,
right,
who is there all along, and then I mean, you wouldn't have been able to turn this guy bad at the end in the same way, but you still got like this whole foundation of who this character was before they did something terrible to the main character. Where in this, it was just like kind of one scene of them talking, and then he does something that Thaddeus or Space Ghost doesn't like, and then he kills his wife and his kid. And that all just happens really fast for me. You're on mute, John.
Yeah, no, I'm on mute. I'm talking to my girls who are coming in and making a little bit of noise. So I was trying to save you the sound, but I was listening to you.
I saw your mouth moving, and I was like, oh, I bet John's making a really valid point right now.
Never true. That's never happened.
But I hear what you're saying. There are other parts where I'm like when we know that they killed his wife and unborn child because of one full page panel thing where the dude comes in, and there's more there that we didn't get to see. Not that I would necessarily want to, but the way they did it,
Right.
I know what I need to know. So I kind of see what you're saying. If it was 12 issues, and I remember wishing it was 12 issues or maybe a series when it first came out, I think they could have done more. And they also maybe could have introduced the world better, because we know there's like 5 other villains that we could name off the top of our heads from the show that they could do something with that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
And we never saw Blip, the monkey. I don't know if we would want to or not, but it's just a possibility.
TJ says that this was all the issues they could get because DC didn't want to do it, and that they only agreed if Alex Ross did the covers.
I guess my point is that I feel like the story, when you talk about the plot, was richer than what was given to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely rushing through things. They were packed issues. They were not empty in any way.
Yeah, there's I feel like a little less time than needed for some intentional pacing. It was just like, all right, we need to get to this point. We need to get to this point. We need to get to this point. And so I'm saying this because I don't want to sound like I'm strictly being critical of the series. Like, I did enjoy reading it, and there was a lot that I did enjoy about it. I just wanted it, like, as I was reading it, I was like, oh man, like if they spent a little more time on this, I would have liked it that much more.
Oh yeah. So what did the both of you think of the obviously Alex Ross on covers? All of them were amazing. My personal favorite's number 5. I think it's one of the most beautiful covers that's
You have a slabbed version, don't you? Have a slabbed one?
Well, I will. I just sent off one. But I also enjoy Ariel Olivetti, but I do admit he draws very muscular people, especially men, and sometimes their proportions are a bit weird. But overall, I really enjoy his art. He's my 3rd favorite artist, and this I have to say would be my favorite panel. Is just that first shot.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Face touch right there.
I found that for me, the art was, I enjoyed it inconsistently. Like, there were panels like that and other pages where I was like, holy smokes, this is incredible. And other pages where I was like, well, it kind of feels like he phoned it into me. And I know he did all of it. He didn't just pencil it. He does all the coloring and everything. So it's a lot of work. So maybe he did kind of rush through some pages, but he certainly had some moments like that page you just showed where they were pretty eye-catching for sure.
So, I mean, I don't know how much of the story we need to like go over.
John just glossing over that question.
No, as far as the art, I felt like there were moments when it did feel like I don't want to say phoned in, but I do feel like it felt cartoonish almost, some of the panels. But it never really bothered me. So I guess in that way, that wasn't a huge. I never had issues with like reading it, meaning it wasn't like it was jarring to go from page to page, or it wasn't like I couldn't follow what was happening or the story. I didn't have to reread because I was confused as to what he was showing. It was just like, oh, I like that one better than this one, kind of a reaction, I guess.
I really liked. This is a big thing for me, and one of the reasons why I like Steve Dillon a lot is because I thought his expressions were really well done. Like, a lot of people just draw the same, like, smile, furrow brow, but there was like much more of a range, I feel, of expressions that he did. Caleb Comics Smurf says hashtag anti-joy equation activate. Yeah, what can you do? And Big O asks, "What's up with the empty shelves? Am I moving?" No, I was robbed. Send funds. I'm kidding. I'm moving.
If someone's gonna send you funds and they're gonna be like, I feel really guilty now.
No, I'll send them right back. It's fine.
So I mean, for me, like there was a whole element to this character that I didn't know. As I said, like the origin story, the loss and the revenge tale, and I guess I keep calling it a religious cult. Big Will, would you use another word to describe like this group that he's a member of at the beginning, but then that he's battling at the end?
I'm a junior, so my dad's called Billy, so don't worry about it. But I would say it's more of the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're manhunters, and then when he turns into Space Ghost, that's the Green Lantern Corps coming in. That's how
That's a good description. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I definitely kind of felt, and maybe it was just the way he was drawn, but kind of a comparison to Temple and the bad guy from Guardians of the Galaxy who whistles. What's his name?
Zondu.
Yeah, thank you.
Yondu, yeah.
Zondu, yeah.
I kind of like saw them as being similar as like this kind of, not father figure in this sense, but, some sort of person who they looked up to or looked to for guidance, and then was kind of betrayed by them or hurt by them, or I don't know.
Maybe it's the film watcher in me, but I saw him
film
as
student.
I didn't say that. I'm working hard not to say that. Perry makes fun of me. For me, it reminded me of Kubrick. Crud. See, you made fun of me. I forgot what I was saying. Full Metal Jacket.
Barry Lyndon.
The drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. That's what I pictured as the voice of this character, the villain, whatever you want to, however you want to frame him. And for me, it just seemed like this hardcore, hard-believing, just badass drill sergeant. And it was confirmed for me. Like I keep going. The moment when I really was like, I like this character, I get him, is when he's like captured. And then they go to kill him. The bad guys, the bugs go to kill him, and all they find is his hand and a handcuff. And then we cut to him later, and he's attached a bug's hand to his own arm, and he's like using it. It's like a tool. He's like using it. He's not in pain. He's not complaining about it. He's just like,
the bug that was guarding him got its own arm ripped off by the prisoner who cut his own arm off. And
it's insane, and it's like, yes. It's R. Lee Ermey all the way to me.
I really liked the moment when they capture him and he's like, well, if I die, you're all going to die because I get this bomb literally strapped to my heart. And if it's what is powering this bomb, so if you kill me, you all going to die. Like,
and then you find out later that wasn't a bomb at all.
Yeah.
Totally true.
But, good bluff. If you can keep your stone cold stare, and I would falter and be like, it's a bomb.
Yeah, I have to say, as far as the writing goes, I love the narrator. Even at the beginning, all through the book, I really like the narrator. And by the way, Space Ghost's real name in the book, at least, is Thaddeus Bach.
Yeah.
And my favorite line, it's repeated twice, is I never saw Thaddeus Bach again, but his ghost has haunted me ever since.
Yeah.
I love that line.
And I like how some of the narration, like there's multiple narrators, but you never really are confused about who's speaking when it comes to narration, at least for me.
Yeah, I felt the same way. John's in deep thought. He flipped through. He's got something.
No, I was thinking about like the narrators and yeah, I think they do a good job of balancing the narration with the story because it's not overwhelming. And I get frustrated with stories though too much.
You stopped reading Criminal.
So I really enjoyed that element for sure. I had moments where I was like, there was a moment. So I don't know about you guys. I had a moment where I was like, okay, wait, is this time traveling happening here? I love this picture of him when he's just like, he's a coal miner or whatever. All of a sudden, he's like,
and he's aging in the background,
right? And then all of a sudden, the next page, I was like, "Wait, did I lose a page?" He's clean shaven now, and he's back. I was like, "Wait, when did he get to this version of him?" He's like, he transitions in a page, and we don't really ever get that. Like, okay,
Yeah, maybe if it was 12 issues.
yeah, right.
Yeah, actually,
That was the one moment I was like, okay, I lost a page. What happened?
I think they say on that page that it's been a year. So I guess they're saying that in the year that he's been doing all that, he finally is ready now or shaved, I guess.
Kachun calls out the line. He says, I like when the kids say, Mister, do you have kids? And he says, no. And they say, good.
Yeah.
Because he is a real John to those kids. There it is. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm here. Now, on the show, didn't they have a name for the kids? Like, didn't they have a superhero name or something?
No, they were always Jan and Jace.
I could have sworn. Because this is how I remember them. Issue 6's drawing where he's got the two of them flying through and they have the masks and the whole thing.
One thing I noticed is that every cover you see is of the cartoon aspect of the characters with an Alex Ross spin on it. Like that, the Phantom Cruiser and the cover is not the same one you see in the book. The kids are much younger than they are in the book.
Yeah.
On the cover.
I honestly, I didn't remember. It's been so long. I read the whole book and then I started looking at those covers and I got to that cover with the two kids on it and I was like, holy crap, I do remember those costumes. I remember that vividly. I was like, oh, wow, they just set up these two characters that are like a big part of his story. So I thought, oh, I had totally forgotten about them. So that was kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah. And I like how he now has like this weaponeer dude behind the scenes. You get an explanation for a lot of stuff from the cartoon that you were, as a kid, was like, oh, that's cool. And you never thought about it. You know, like, how did he get these bands? How does he fly? What's with the invisibility? Where'd that cruiser come from? You know, I like how he has his own planet and there's this guy there that's a genius war maker or whatever.
Yeah, and it's surprising that, you know, so many cartoons back in the day were like at the start of every episode were like, Space Ghost comes from this planet where he gets this stuff from this place, and wow, wouldn't you believe this thing that happens? And now on to the next adventure.
Yeah. Something like that. And that was good enough back in the day.
John didn't like that.
It was not your best impression. I was gonna ask, like, you're talking about a little bit, at least, around the idea of not necessarily having the full grasp of his powers and how they work. Do you feel like that was needed? Because I got to the end and I kept asking myself, like, do I need to know how all these powers work? They talk about at different points that, like, his bracelets or whatever, his gauntlets are depleted, or that his invisible shield is depleted, but they don't really talk about how can he fly? How can he do all these things? Like, what is the power source or how does it work? They don't even necessarily show a recharging in any kind of way.
Well, they give you enough that in 6 issues, you can fill in the gap.
And that was my question. Like, do you feel like it really needs it? Because I got to the end and I couldn't come to a definitive answer. Does it need that information?
I don't think it absolutely needs all of it because it gives us enough. Like, you know, he has this weaponeer guy. Okay, so he's a super genius, makes all this stuff. You see him at one point trying out the bands, so you can assume, okay, he goes through all and tries them out. You know, you can assume that, even though it doesn't show it. I mean, again, this is only 6 issues we have here.
Exactly, yeah.
And then when he's depleted, if you pay attention, it says something like a geometric recharge. It's like the
power of the Earth.
The planet itself is recharging them. He has to wait. And that's why they spent the night in the cave, was that's how he got recharged.
I got that.
I'm an idiot.
Well, that's well established. Gray Matter Hulk says the Thor father dropping the hammer on White Whale's impressions. Ouch. Yeah. No more fun for you guys. Sorry.
Oh, well.
I thought I did a pretty solid impression of Drew Manchu in the last show I was on tonight, and they said that I should leave the impressions to you.
Well, that's not the case. I'm a terrible impressionist. Let's be real. It started as an accident and it's gotten out of control.
This has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I just wanted to say, John, I have not read Heroes in Crisis, but I voted innocent because you cannot like a good story, but it's hard to like a bad one. And with all that uproar, it must be something good about it.
Certainly created a whole heck of a lot of talk, I will tell you that. And that's generally a sign of something that has at least something on its mind.
John
That
Manchu,
will
baby.
bring us back.
John Manchu, baby, says Gray Matter Hulk.
I love it.
So where were we? Book club.
Yeah.
So this is your third.
Hey, welcome to book club.
This is your third episode of doing the old Comic Book Day book club. So I have a question. Out of the three, which one do you like the best overall? I tried to pick something that I think might be the best because it's not that old, and it was a complete story with a mini series.
I
1 through 6.
think this was, quote, the best. I just enjoyed the hell out of Hulk 181.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably pick this one, although I love the costumes in the Teen Titans, and I thought that I could probably just skim the pictures of Teen Titans and laugh my butt off just for those costumes. They're so spectacular. But yeah, as far as just a whole story, I mean, we read individual issues those other two times.
Yeah.
This time we were actually reading an entire sort of trade, this whole story in one lot.
So let's say you just read issue 1.
I got to remember where issue 1 leaves off, and then that would inform my decision.
It leaves off with the betrayal of them.
And them shooting him.
Yeah.
So it ends with this picture then, with this splash?
No.
No, ends well before then. It
Right
ends
here.
with
This is where it ends and another issue begins. So he was just
That's not very long.
quote, killed, and they're doing the little funeral for him. That's the end of the first issue.
Ooh, that's not fair. I don't know that there's enough there for me to really judge. I would definitely think that would hurt it for sure.
I thought you were going to ask why we've done so many old book clubs instead of new book clubs, because stuff like this is what we had to pick from the last couple weeks.
Hey, I offered to do that one instead of this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that we said no.
Oh man, I love doing garbage fires though.
Hey, you said no to Black. Silver Surfer Black next week. So
I didn't, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a dumpster fire as much. I mean,
it's basically the next Guardians of the Galaxy, and you would love that one.
this was not Deceased bad. This was not Captain Marvel bad. This was just boring and pointless. That's my review of it.
She looks good.
She looks real nice, and I'm going to buy all the covers because I'm a sucker.
I agree. Chris Barrett says we should all read Marvels by Alex Ross. That's a great series, and I bought all those issues from my LCS about a year ago, and it's a phenomenal read.
I probably would have checked it out, but I don't know if I would have checked it out as much to the point of buying it had it not been for the Alex Ross covers on this.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Ross covers are eye-catching.
Yeah, I mean, just the number one alone, it's like, hey. You know.
So that's going to transition very well into our debate topic. But first, thumbs up or thumbs down to people who haven't read this to go buy it.
You haven't?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you can't buy the single issues anymore unless you get on eBay, but they still make the trade that has everything. I bought this at my shop last week.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth a read.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I own the trade, how often I'd pull it off my shelf and reread it, but I enjoyed it.
Definitely.
And you don't have to worry about them really probably doing anything with it because it's almost 15 years old. So it's 6 issues and you're good.
Reboot.
Spec book. Space Ghost Spec.
Teacher in June is an empty shell. Now you know how I feel all the time, John.
It's all hollow. It's all. I'm just trying to survive. The thing is, I'm trying to read the chat and talk, and so when I do that, my eyes look half closed. I should look in the camera. Hi guys, nice to be here. I am alive and well. Even though I read Deceased 2 tonight, and I'm still suffering from Lois Lane looking like she's an MMA fighter.
Why did you do that to yourself? Like, I understand why you bought the Nightmare on Elm Street cover, because it's cool, and your neighbors with Freddy and whatever.
And I paid $4. I should just read it. I shouldn't just look at the cover. I should read it. I'm not the
but
person.
You knew better.
I did, but I gave it a try because Poison Ivy is smoking hot, and she's on the cover, as one of my all-time favorite horror films.
Really, that's your all-time favorite?
One of. I would put it in the top 5. I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
Let me guess, you're one of those guys that say this is one of, and you name about 487 movies, and,
yes,
and they're all in your top 5.
You know me.
So really quickly before we get to our debate topic, we should do. I know I've already been on it, but we should do another top 5 of pre-Scream horror movies.
I'm down. Right now?
No. Our debate topic tonight is because
it's more of a discussion topic, right? I mean,
aren't they? Isn't that the same?
Not really, but go for it.
Well, we might argue. Great cover artists other than Alex Ross. Isn't that what we settled on?
We were going to also just spend a little time discussing the differences between Green Lantern and Space Ghost, which we kind of breezed through, but we can get back to at the end. But great cover artists that are not Alex Ross, because obviously Immortal Hulk and this and Marvels and everything else, he's amazing.
We've got 2 art germs already in the chat. He did not make my list. I know he probably made yours, John.
We had a really nice discussion about him on the Unlimited show, and my feeling, and I think it's one you'd agree with, is that his Catwoman covers are unbelievable, and his Supergirl covers are kind of bland, but my girls love them, so I grab them and collect them and appreciate them for them. And this Black Cat cover I thought was really odd and really unusual the way it was framed. So as far as Art Germ goes, if all of his stuff was on par with those Catwoman covers, he would definitely make my list.
His Catwoman covers are like, it's almost like a different person is doing them to me.
Hey, TJ mentions Michael Turner. I didn't know he liked Turner.
And he also mentioned Neil Adams and Bernie Wrightson.
I don't know if I would call Art Germ and Dell'Otto and most of those guys great cover artists. I would say they and Alex Ross would be just great artists. I mean, they do like portraits and stuff that go on covers, but to me, a good cover artist would be someone like Neil Adams. Schomburg, Jack Kirby, those kind of guys.
Ooh, finally, somebody threw out Steranko, finally.
See, I thought about this. Well, I guess only slightly differently. I thought because I know Alex Ross does interiors from time to time, not so much more recently, but I thought about this more about artists who do more covers than interiors, who are like known for their cover work, I guess. Not just.
Which is more of a modern thing. So you're not really talking about those classic Neil Adams guys as much as the more modern guys who like the Putris or whatever that are just doing covers, not necessarily doing interiors at all.
Right, because obviously someone like a Bernie Wrightson, you can't compete with that when you're talking about.
Well, what about John Byrne then? Some of his best covers to me were on the sensational She-Hulk, and that was a book that started in the 89, I think, and went through the 90s.
I mean, John Byrne did the best X-Men cover of all time that will never be topped. Days of Future Past Part 1.
With all the wanted posters behind. Yeah, that's a great one.
Is it right behind you, John?
It's not right behind me. The wanted posters
right over your shoulder. It almost looks like it.
No. The two X-Men I got are
Oh, I
the
see.
Brood, Wolverine Brood, and Storm Brood.
Yeah, you like the Brood. Mike Plug, definitely also awesome. Robert Crumb, Mike Grell, Herb Trimpe, Delato, Joe Kubert. I've got a weird list.
What about? Does it matter if
Shocker.
their covers is a different look and style than their interiors? Like, I like R. Crumb, but his covers and interiors they look the same. One's just bigger, slightly different.
Mhm.
I mean, and again, I wouldn't necessarily call Alex Ross a great cover artist. He's just a great painter, an artist of comic characters. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I mean, same thing with, you could say the same thing about Michael Turner, where like his style doesn't really differ, if that is your criteria for cover to interior.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm just throwing crap out.
No, yeah, no, I'm just continuing the
Welcome to the show, Big Will. That's the show.
So I wrote down 5 names off the top of my dome as people who I would say have not put out a disappointing cover to me, and that was kind of, I guess, and this, I didn't put too much thought into this, like everything I do, to be fair. Right now, I think cream of the crop, top of the heap, is not Joshua Middleton. It's Julian Totino Tedesco. I think every single cover that he does is 10 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, it's a slight exaggeration, JP. JP's Budget Collecting said, not one disappointing cover. Is that even possible? No. I was talking out of my ass.
I don't know that I've seen enough or recognized enough covers as Tedesco covers to actually make a mental list. I mean, I could probably name a couple, but that would be like, so for me, like that's one that I would struggle to even come up with like 5. So clearly I don't pay enough attention to him.
I guess people are asking for examples. Hold on.
Frizen is a great one. That's a great one. Jenny Frizen is amazing. I wish the books that Jenny did the covers for were as good as on the inside as her covers are on the outside.
Oh, TJ mentioned McFarlane. He's one guy who I like his covers, but I don't like his interiors. He has a difference.
So here is a little, I'm going to do a little screen share.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, actually. If it's Tedesco, I would.
Yeah, and here is a Red Sonja cover that he recently did.
Oh, because I have never seen that one. That's gorgeous.
He did that Harley Quinn variant that everyone loves.
That's the one that's like sideways, right?
No.
The
one where she's holding the hammer.
The hammer. Yeah. Sorry.
That was like his big cover where everyone.
Yeah, that was your cover of January when we did our list.
Yeah. Randy Ray Snake says Liefeld. So
only if Bueller were on the show would that make the list.
But I love his little signature, his little TT in the circle.
Uh-huh.
But TJ says, "Oh, that is nice." And if it's a Red Sonja cover that he approves of, it's good.
High praise.
So
antlers.
Yeah, that was just one that
armor, but I love it.
So Google Totino Tedesco, look at some of his artwork. Just spicy meatball. Surprise, I like Meg Mignola's covers a lot.
Yeah.
J.G. Jones.
I don't even know who that is.
Jeez. Am I really going that deep cuts?
I think partly I'll say the problem I have with the general thesis that we're doing right now is that I don't pay enough attention to covers. I generally don't buy a book for the cover. I buy a book because I like the book. And so then the cover artist goes kind of past me. And it's very rare, maybe once every couple of weeks, that I buy a book just for a cover.
Again, I gave him the trade and you the single issue.
Yeah, I mean, I just would rather have it. I know that the money I'm spending goes to the story I'm reading, not necessarily the art on the cover. Not always. Ideally, it's both.
The meat inside the sandwich is what's important. like at the end of the day. But when I'm flipping through short boxes, I'm not opening every book. I'm looking at the covers.
Yeah.
Bruce Timm, great pick. My next one is James Jean.
Who is it?
John.
Joe or Jerry? Joe Robertson, the old Detective Comics, the guy that created the Joker. Is he Joe or Jerry Robertson?
Not sure.
I like his cover.
I think I'm failing Alex litmus test for co-host.
And let me see if you're probably not going to know number 5 either. Marcos Martin.
Marcos Smart?
Marcos Martin.
I have no clue who these people are at all.
Nailed it. I just made 5 people up. That was a trick.
There you go.
I'm so happy.
There's your Bruce Timm after Robinson right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
That was not a trick. Those are all real people who do fantastic artwork, and you should check out their stuff.
You're going to have to send those to me in a text.
Well, now I feel like now I know how you feel on top 5.
That's the best joke you've ever had in any book club ever.
Well, all right. Good night, everyone. I can retire now. I'm gonna go up on top.
Oh my god, that was amazing. That was amazing. Oh, that joke might have been just for me, and it was the highlight of my week. Freaking amazing.
I aim to please, John.
Oh my fucking god. That was so spot on. Oh shit. Oh, god, I'm crying. I'm fucking crying. Jesus. Teaching the teacher. Yes, old wolf. That's what's happening right now.
I forgot. What were we talking about?
I don't even know.
Joe 47771 says using the old counterpoint move.
Oh my god.
That's a hunt joke.
Whew.
So I guess I stalled out that conversation by being a snob.
No, I want to know these. I want to search these people out now, honestly, if they're getting that high of praise. And I know that Tedesco Harley Quinn cover, I mean, it's still like holding incredible value because it's just gorgeous.
I know you know who James Jean is.
What is so if you gave me like the books that they were on that they were known for, I might know a little bit more.
I'm gonna show you
like
one.
I think Middleton, I think Batgirl, I think Art Germ, you think Supergirl. So
I need to log in. Get out of my face.
I agree. JP says Wonder Woman, that target was on that John joke. Right, bullseye on that John joke.
Okay.
Stellar.
Ready for a James Jean cover? If I can figure out how to use technology.
I hear a lot of good clicking though.
I'm old.
Oh, well, now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just don't know who people are.
Yeah, I mean, I would know that cover, obviously. And so then, this is James Jean?
James Jean, yes. There's a tremendous art book, which is, I was just going to point, like you can see where I'm pointing, I'm screen sharing, which is right, still on my shelf.
Oh, I'll just go over and grab it then. Hold on.
It's right here. It's complete James Jean Fables covers. It might be out of print, but it's real
so
nice.
Did he do a
nice
lot of
copy.
the Fables covers then?
He did the first like 50 or 75 or so. He did a bunch of them.
Because I mean, I always felt like there were comics that I read in that run of Vertigo, Why the Last Man, 100 Bullets, and Fables. The covers were always so dramatically different than the interiors, but also so perfectly captured the story. And I think that that's really rare.
You want to know who did the Why the Last Man covers to start? J.G. Jones.
Is that one of the only ones you mentioned?
Yeah.
I'm as bad as you are, John. I'm just not letting them know by being silent.
I'm happy to be the jackass. That's kind of my role on this show.
You know who's a great cover artist? See how many people get this one. Zila.
Yeah,
TJ will get it.
I know people before like 1980, and I wasn't even alive.
See, I'm waiting for TJ. Or if DS are in the chat.
Wait for him.
It's thrilling. Yeah, Chris Barrett got it.
Now, I think Eduardo Rizzo did most of the covers for 100 Bullets as well as the interior?
No, he did the interiors. The covers were by...
Because I always dug those covers. They seemed kind of abstract and different, yet also
Dave Johnson. I had to pull that one out.
We completely.
I just dig the style. You know, it was always kind of a fun style to the covers.
My favorite one is the one where it's the 100 Bullets, like the, I don't know, the logo, not the logo of the book, but the logo of the organization, and then it's like just a red line of the gun going down. So Zila, to go back for that for a second, is Alex Schomburg. And he did a bunch of covers for another company that he was, I guess, not supposed to work for. And so he signed them Alex backwards. Because
that's kind of a cool way to do it.
Because he didn't want people to find out that he was had a side woman. A side piece. Where are my graded comics? I was robbed. Send funds. I'm kidding. I'm moving. How many times am I going to tell that joke?
I would say then I would probably put Mr. Johnson. You said Rick Johnson, something?
Dave.
Sure, Dave. I love Dave.
Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson. I always felt like every 100 Bullets that when I would pick them up monthly at my shop, I would always be like, damn, they did it again. Like another really cool abstract cover that captures the comic, but is not just like typical. It was very outside the box.
My dad is Mr. Johnson. You can call me Dick. I know you want to laugh. All right.
I like the jokes making fun of me way more, obviously.
that was about you.
A little bit. Somebody said Frazetta is a good one. TJ Frazetta.
Yeah, Frazetta is just like a master of.
Well, he's another one that I wouldn't call a comic book cover artist either. He's just an excellent artist. Like a lot of the Death Dealer series and all of that were album covers for Molly Hatchet. I mean, he was everywhere.
Yeah, Frazetta is obviously the granddaddy of fantasy artists. So he didn't come to mind because of that, because he's like on another tier for me.
And I think Chris Barrett mentioned Heath? Sorry, Russ Heath a few times.
Not familiar with Russ Heath. I'll have to look them up. I assume it's Golden Age stuff. I'm a Golden Age newbie.
Clearly, I'm a modern age newbie as well. So let's throw it all in.
So that about wraps it up, I think, right? Unless you guys want to bring up anyone else.
No, I mean, we wanted to talk a little bit about Green Lantern versus Space Ghost and the differences, but I think we hit on a little bit. There's a lot in common as well.
Yeah, I think we're good.
But I think they're interesting. So people that like Green Lantern, I think, could find a lot of fun in Space Ghost, personally, I think.
For sure. Or Nova. It's just that cosmic superhero aspect, There's no core, but he still has the source of like an object that has the power source, and so
he's a good fit for DC. He wouldn't have fit this good at Marvel.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So next week we are back to New Comic Book Day Book Club, and we've got the one, the only Old Blue Eyes Drew Manchu, baby. And what are we reviewing?
We're going to read Sonata, issue number 1 by Image Comics. And we'll do a quick, instead of a typical debate topic, we'll do a quick little mini review discussion at the end about Silver Surfer Black. So we're kind of doing 2 books in one that night, but it's mainly going to focus on Sonata, which is the new Image number 1 comic that comes out next week.
Yeah, we've had good luck with Image books. So don't let us down, guys. Joe wants to hear the Drew Manchu impression one more time.
I gotta remember what I was saying about Drew Manchu. I was just very animated and intense.
So how many copies of Little Bird 1 do you guys have between you?
I have 3 sets of the first 3 issues.
I've got 7 copies of issue 1 over various covers, including a 9/8.
People making fun of my pronunciation of Sonata.
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 So yeah, should be fun. It'll be a blast, and hopefully we'll not be at each other's throats with differing opinions with Drew Manchu.
That's the fun of Drew. Come on.
Yeah,
He
no,
can
it'll
throw fire and then turn around and be just as sweet as a big old
Yeah,
teddy bear. He's a teddy bear.
He's a great dude. Big Will, thank you. This was a pleasure and a treat and an honor.
Well, I normally have to say no because of work and everything, but believe it or not, just about this whole month, if anyone wants me on their show, I would love to come on, and I'm actually going to be able to. So this is 1 month only.
There you go. Big Will is available, and book him because he is a charming fellow.
I got a bar mitzvah coming up. You'll be perfect.
JP's Budget Collecting says Alex still has work to do to reach Big Will level of Wolverine #1 with his Little Bird obsession. That is true facts.
My LCS is now selling Little Bird #1s for $10 a piece.
Yeah, I think you've probably sold more Wolverine #1s than I have Little Bird #1s.
Yeah, and I probably still have more than you have Little Bird too. It's my favorite cover.
Yeah,
I can't help it. And it's a great book.
Yeah, I've got like 5 or 6 Generation X #1s. So
yeah. But what do you guys think about people trying to sell the facsimiles for a higher price? Because I went to my shop Wednesday, and I got this Space Ghost trade because all I had was the single issues, and I wanted to have a trade. And I noticed they had like 30 copies on the shelf for the $3.99 price. But then when I went up front to pay for my stuff, I noticed they had a stack of them on the wall for $8 a piece.
Of 180.
Of the Wolverine 181 facsimile.
Were they like, I don't know. I feel the same way about about comic shops like trying to sell free comic book day books. If the market demands it, the market demands it.
I just don't understand why even have them up there when all you gotta do is go they had like another 30 on the shelf.
Yeah. that I can't explain. If they were just like, hey, we're charging $8, that's the going rate. But if I don't know why they had some behind the counter, and that doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I guess they were waiting for that idiot to come in.
9.8 candidates or something.
No, it was they just had it up there, $8.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Comic Tom in the house, what's up? Big Will, you have anything you'd like to plug?
Not really. I mean, I know me and Jeffrey are probably going to do the big show on Sunday, but other than that, I really don't have anything planned. I usually don't get any free time much to come up with stuff, so I'm usually kind of random.
Yeah, if you guys don't know Big Will, he's got a weekly show every Sunday with Jeffrey Comic Con. It's a real fun show, the big show. So if you subscribe to his channel, which I think Alec has linked in the description below, you can see the content that he's been putting out, the kinds of stuff he's been doing. Incredibly knowledgeable.
Yeah, the big show is always a delight when I can manage to catch it when I'm not working. But always really interesting topics and fun
I
time.
appreciate it, guys. And you've both been on it. Well, you were awesome. You were on it with JD, and John was kind of there with the girl.
Second best joke of the night. The girls, that was the first time the girls had been invited on a show independently, so they kind of just ran. They were at a blast. They were great.
The best part about it was, for those of you that don't know, when Charlie had those glasses on, she apparently just had them on to join the club because Jeffrey and I both wear glasses. There were no lenses.
There were no lenses. No.
And before we even went live, as soon as she sat down, she goes, "Let's get down to business." I'll shut up now. Thanks, Al.
Oh, you're very welcome. John, what do you have to plug?
Almost nothing. I'm going camping this weekend, so I'm gone. Don't look for me on my channel until we get back. So I think the next thing I'm doing won't be till next week. We're still planning for the list on Monday night, but that's about it. The list Monday night, and then back to Wednesday night for doing the shows.
Very cool. I don't know if anyone's heard, but I'm going to be on a little show called The Hunt on Friday. It is long-awaited rematch, fatal five-way, myself, Tony Sanders, JD, Jeffrey Comic-Con Henson, and YouTube is 90, Y290, Chad, 90MF Comics.
The Underwhaler.
Now, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Of course not.
But I'm gonna give you a little taste of what kind of heat I'm bringing.
This is dangerous.
If anyone saw the last episode, I showed this book that I was very proud to find a copy for $15, I think.
Wow.
Why?
Yeah.
It is Mike Allred's relaunch of X-Force, and it's the start of the Ecstatic series. It is kind of hard to come by, and I really like Mike Allred, and I really like this run, and it's got a lot of first appearances. So that was my hunt book, one of my hunt books. I just found this today, the complete run, for $15.
Whoa!
This did not make my list. No, that's the wrong show. This did not. This did not make
the cut.
No, that's the wrong show. That's the wrong show too. This did not.
This is not good enough.
It's not good enough for the kind of fire I am bringing this Friday. So, Underwhaler.
I wish I could be there to vote and find out what's going on. So you'll have to text me the results. Not that I can't predict, but I can't watch Friday, so I will be pumped.
I don't need to text you the results. It's gonna be a bloodbath. You ever see that match where Undertaker choke slams Mankind through the ring from on top of the steel cage?
I've never watched wrestling in my life.
It's just gonna be that.
The answer's gonna be no.
I have seen it.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be like, except...
But I kind of, grew up and don't care about wrestling anymore.
Yeah, I haven't watched wrestling in many, many years, but
my cousin loves it still, and he's older than I am. And when his wife was pregnant, they went to WrestleMania in Georgia when they had it, and they painted her pregnant belly up. She was 9 months pregnant. And she was standing there with like a crop top, her belly hanging out, like "Go Undertaker," whoever was there.
Yeah, Underwhaler.
Most known choke slam in history, says Comic Miss Explained. Hell in a Cell, says everybody. So clearly they know what you're talking about.
So the Underwhaler is coming for everybody on Friday night. Get ready.
You need to turn your lights off when you do that.
Oh, I need to turn off more lights. That'll be too. Never mind. I'll have it set up right on Friday. Don't worry. Thanks everyone. This was a lot of fun. I apparently made the best joke I've ever made on YouTube. according to John.
Done. Absolutely done. Yeah, you can
So-
retire.
So no more book club. Too bad I'm never going to make it to 1,000 subs because I guess I can retire now. Thanks to Big Will. Thanks to John. Thanks to everyone in the chat, as always, for hanging out on late night Wednesday to talk about comic lyrics. I'm not even going to play my theme music because I don't have it ready. But it goes, ban a man a minute. Ban a man a minute. Boing, ban a man a minute. Ban. Anyway, you get it.
I think you just had your better joke. Congratulations.
Third best joke of the night.
I'll take it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Have a great night, everyone. Be safe, make good choices, never turn your back to the ocean, which is a great choice. Bye.